There we go. Right, guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Obviously, dollar absolutely being slashed. All right, slashed in price, slashed in half. We got oil prices back to where they should be. The mad panic yesterday is over. What does this mean? I don't really understand. Well, obviously, dollar has pumped. I'm gonna have a little look into it. I know obviously it was all hype. Obviously, well, one of the Iranian oil. I think it was a storage supply was obviously bombed. That takes oil off the market, but there's still demand. I also understand yen. So obviously oil tanking in price, and we'll go through yen. First, obviously oil tanking in price yields. Yen. I'm going to do a video on this because it's really really interesting. I've been doing obviously a lot of research into this. Yen obviously tanking too. That's obviously sorry, yields tanking too. That's obviously going to drag yen, down, but it's not been affecting all yen pairs. So I do feel if we get this to the New York market, yen obviously should start to tumble. Macro wise, you would be hedging towards, selling or buying yen, all right, just because the fact that oil prices have dropped back down into that. I would say, we're obviously no need to panic about anything between 80 and, 90 was what was expected. That's about where we are, at the moment. So then we've obviously got the yields, all right. Now I've had this drawn up for a while here. We obviously had this mad consolidation. It's acting as a bit of an equilibrium here. So I think if yields are in here, dollar at the moment is pretty happy. Once it breaks below, dollar obviously starts to worry a tiny bit. I actually think we're going to close the day. Back in this kind of equilibrium zone here. We've also got, stock markets back up. They took an absolute hammering yesterday, but all of them pretty much, back where they started or where where they finished last week. Pretty much above. If you think we closed out Friday here, we're now trading above. All right, these are all US companies, spending US dollars. So, naturally, obviously, that's going to benefit the US dollar. Right, looking at the US dollar, okay, it has dropped a little bit further than what I was expecting. I'm not going to lie to anyone here. We're not gonna get it right every time. I had this area here. I was pretty confident. We obviously, if you look at the market, we gapped up last night. Had a really nice push. And then what I was expecting was this retest here. I was expecting to bounce. Oh, people still joining. I was expecting to bounce off of this level here. So we actually broke through that. So, like I always tell everyone, mark up your 500s. Where have we reacted? And this is why we mark them up. All right. There's a reason market reacts from these areas. I'm just going to check on everything because I like to keep a bit of a. And yeah, that's much better. I'm not going to lie to you. That's a lot better. I'm now £300 down. It was sorry. I'm not. That's not my account. It's a different one. I'm 7 grand down. That's a lot better than what it was earlier. There's a lot of blue. So yeah, I'm pretty happy there. Aussie crushing down. I might be tempted. Let's just have a look at everything. Yeah, and then obviously we will manage everything. But no, I'm pretty happy. Everything's starting to tumble, which is this reaction here. Now, do I think this will get retested? Yes, I do. For this to get retested, is it going to be enough for us to come out of today in some good profit? Yes, it will. So that's obviously all. I don't even care if this trend can continues. Odds are we're coming back into this area because it's a major level of support. And then even if it wants to continue, which I don't think it will, it can. But obviously, I think this is what's going to end up happening. And I think, like I mentioned, we're going to be stuck in this range. We're a little bit lower. I was expecting. I'm not going to lie, I was expecting this zone here to be the bottom, but yeah, it's pipped us all out. But no, I'm pretty happy. So let's wait and see what happens here. News wise, all right. Now this is another interesting one. All right, so per pound, we're going to ignore it. You know, BRC retail sales not going to impact very much. Um, AUD news as expected, a little bit under. All right. Now, China. All right, for anyone who doesn't understand, you've got to look at. I recommend everyone doing a bit of homework and looking into trade partners. All right, so China is key trade partner with Australia and New Zealand. All right, now if China has good data, that's going to benefit Aussie. All right, they tend to move together. All right, so that's the only reason we don't trade Chinese yen or whatever it is. But obviously, you know, we obviously like to look at the data because it's going to give us a little bit of a outlook. So China, Aussie, NZD kind of move together. If China's being hurt, Aussie's being hurt. So you know that's obviously one thing that you know it benefits us. So yeah, but obviously, all we've got this afternoon, we've got some home data. That'll be interesting. Expected to come in slightly under, not much under, but slightly under. So remember what I'd said about this is what markets price in. All right, this day data here. We haven't had any forecast data for ADP yet, but obviously this is the only one. And also remember, we're trading for 3 weeks. It's a little bit confusing. We got to trade an hour earlier. So we got to trade an hour earlier. So it's from 12 till 1 is like our normal 1 till 2. So I'll probably be pumping out trades just after, or my trade ideas just after 12:15. And so, yeah, that's obviously, you know, one thing we've got to take into consideration for 3 weeks. They sorted their clocks out at the weekend. We sort our clocks out at the end of March. So we've got 3 weeks every year where it's a little bit confusing. And it's catchy. It's probably caught a lot of people out yesterday because they would have gone in there half one and the moves all already happened. So you know we've obviously got to remember that. I'm actually this is how calm I've been this morning. I'm on my third cup of coffee. Right. Um, So, overview. Let's have a look at obviously what we're looking for here. I am looking for dollar to come and peak here. As long as the dollar holds this, I am happy. Which I do think it will. You got to think about what has come into the markets, all right, to make it move like this, all right. Not a lot. All right. No new, news has come out. Yes, there might be a little bit of pricing in for, I think tomorrow we got inflation data, which is supposed to come in a bit hot. So we actually want it to come in hot um, because no, actually, I want it to come in, yeah, hot because then it's going to keep obviously, US dollar strong. It'll be quite interesting because obviously we had the wages impact last week, on Friday, but less jobs, so that's going to worry the Federal Reserve a little bit. That's going to stop them from reducing interest rates. But obviously, yeah, that's what we ideally, but we don't care which way it comes in. We've just got to obviously make sure that we understand, how inflation, works. So the higher inflation, so CPI data, I'll repeat it again, is inflation data. So the higher the inflation data, the obviously less likely that the Fed are going to have confidence to reduce interest rates. And if they got less confidence reducing interest rates, then obviously, what's going to end up happening? They are going to there's going to be obviously more, money still flowing into the US because obviously the interest rates are higher and everyone gets more money back. So right, let's have a look at our charts now. We got GBP USD here. I've got two triggers here. I've got one here and one here, and I've also got one pending here. So almost so this one's coming back into profit. Did this little one here, a little bit of drawdown on that one. We then got euro, a little bit, yeah, same thing. I've got middle and I've got bottom here. So hoping for this just to drift back into this area here. Aussie has come right back. Really, really happy. I might actually close out of this one, but I'm going to wait and see what happens because I've got both of them in a bit of profit here. So pretty happy with that one there. That's going to be, yeah, pretty good. But I'm going to hold this candle probably for a little bit longer, and I'll make a decision after this call. USDJPY. I actually raised our zone up here. My initial zone was actually 5760, which would have triggered. So it was about here. But I just wanted to raise it up just to be a bit, safer because I don't like to, macros wise, you're gonna want to sell it. But trend, this was the reason why trend is perfect trending, right now coming into this area. Rejection should pump higher. So I'm not writing off that that will happen. That's why I wanted to raise it a little bit higher to obviously make sure that we're all good to go. So that was that one. And then gold I stayed out of. Brilliant. Wish I hadn't. It was a perfect. Look at this entry. Perfect. This was our trigger here. This candle here. Look at that pucker. But do I think there's enough? No. I actually think we're going to have to wait for CPI data tomorrow. And I do think we're either going to come back down. I did say I want this 5,000 level tested one more time before I'm really confident again to obviously start ranging. But you can see, and one thing that I explained this to someone yesterday on a one-to-one was, you can see obviously, I mean, look at the price range here from Tuesday the 3rd of March to say Tuesday the 10th of March. So that's, 7 days. Yeah, there we go. So, if we look at the range here, right, it's not very big, right? But if we look at this range, this is why gold is so hard to trade. No, normally what happens with gold, you can see here, you have a pump, right? You have tight orders, tight, 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 collecting orders, pump, tight, 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 collecting orders, pump. So that's basically how gold moves. You can see here, pump, tight, 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 collecting orders, dump, tight here, dump, pump. That's how it does. It's got to collect a lot of orders. Now, the range is normally a lot tighter than what it is. You can see here, it's nice and tight there. This is a wide range, right? It's almost triple what this is. Now, it doesn't look like very much, but obviously it is plenty. All right, it is, having to trade this range if you get it wrong hurts, whereas having to trade this range, if you get it wrong, it doesn't really hurt much. So that's why I don't like it. I'd love to be buying from here. I'm still only looking to buy. I can't see why it is where it is. I feel like it should be a bit higher, but it is what it is. So I'm gonna wait and see obviously what happens. But yeah, that is that's what's making me kind of take a step back from gold. Because if we look at this on a daily time frame, all right, and everyone was saying how the last couple of years gold's been easy, and it has been easy. All you've had to do is buy any pullback, buy. But obviously the last probably 3 months, it's been horrible. Yes, it started off nice January, and then look at this candle here eked out the whole of January's profits in one, but well, probably 2 days worth of price action. All right. And then we had all of this movement here. So from it managed to wipe out, if you look at it from here, so it wiped out from the 20th to the 28th of February profit. On the 3rd of March, it crashed out and took it all out. So it's very, very hard to trade. And so, yeah, that's obviously all these things that we've got to be looking at, we've got to be aware of. All right. Right. Let's have a look at the chat now. Okay. So we've got Greg, you talk about letting the trades breathe. What about us? Should we breathe? You've always got to breathe. All right. Trading's about drawdown. All right. And we are, we are and I know it's obviously everything is relatable, but we're worrying about hundreds of pounds, thousands of pounds, tens of thousands of pounds. All right, you got to think, guys, worrying about being billions down, and it's their job's over, their career's over, and they've got to swallow it and hold, and and we've got to really remember that what we're actually you know, doing is, yeah, it's not scary as long as we're risking correctly, it's not scary, So, we've got to expect, there's a reason why I don't have a, line entry. All right. I've got a zone, because I'm humble enough to admit that I'm not going to get it exactly right. That's why I give myself this area allocation because market will do whatever it wants. All right. But all we've got to do is be within the, zone and we're obviously happy. Nothing's broken out yet. There has nothing been broken out of this, zone at all. All right, we're only halfway through it. All right, so that's obviously where I'm confident. I'm happy if all of these trades were above. Yeah, I get you. You could be unhappy. All right, you could be stressed. All right, but we've allocated this area. We've wanted market to come into this area. Market has come into this area. So we're obviously now expecting market to retreat and yeah, retreat, nicely. So that is obviously what we are expecting. It's just not, it's just a little bit of a, morning where we've got to allow markets, like I say, to breathe. We breathe. I mean, I've had 3 cups of coffee. So yeah. Does anyone have any more questions? Any more for any more? Otherwise, we'll end it here. I will, monitor and I'll keep you guys updated as to what I am doing. But yeah, I'm pretty happy. Um, we've obviously got the dollar here reacting as we expected. Yes, I was hoping it was going to react here, but react one here. Okay, Doody, right one in. So that's DXY bearish on 15 minute. That's brilliant, but it means absolutely nothing to me. All right, because it's bullish on the monthly. It's bullish on the it's consolidating weekly, daily, trending upside. 1 minute time frame. It might now be it's gone from being bearish to bullish. All right. So, I use a 2 hour time frame. All right. Because I know that I'm an intraday trader. All right. And one thing that don't like about skipping time frames, I'm not here to obviously call you out or anything. I really appreciate and I encourage questions. But obviously, one thing that everyone struggles with and it is I was prone to it too. If you use multiple time frames, and obviously lots of stuff that I do is very it's against what everyone in YouTube's doing or every retail trader is doing. All right, because I don't really look at candles now. All right, I look at price and I look at value for money. All right, so but anyone skipping through, all right, will you're going to find a time frame. Even you could argue half an hour's in a downtrend. You can argue an hour's in a downtrend. All right, but everything that you are looking at here, all right, you can yeah, it's subjective, all right, to obviously whatever time frame you are kind of looking at here, all right. So that's why I've identified I'm an intraday trader, all right, and so I only need to look at the intraday time frame, and all I'm looking every day is where I'm going to enter. Where is the best value for money for me to enter, right? And I'm pretty happy here. I'm pretty happy. If you look at where GBP USD has reacted, all right, this is where market closed on Friday, all right. So yes, it's for all you gap traders out there. It's just come up, filled the gap, rejected, come down. I'm actually really, really happy with where the entries are, and obviously this is why we encouraged it, to enter on the three entries, because I did notice that everyone was worried about they were worried about going into drawdown. Whereas obviously the idea of the three entries was that you want to encourage it, because you want your trade to trigger, because then it doesn't have to come down as far for you to obviously hit your daily target, and then you're obviously out. So yeah, hopefully that answers. Won't you see a lot of drawdown if 2 hour DXY is against the 15-minute DXY bias? No, I don't believe that. I'm here from today, and everything is new to me, and I'm happy to learn. Brilliant. Like I'd said, I really, really encourage, you know, questions. I'm always here. I'm happy to answer anything. I've been there, I've done that. I've traded every time frame. I've traded every currency. I've traded every time. So yeah, there is obviously a reason, why I do obviously what I do, and why I've tweaked my, strategy so it's completely different to obviously everybody else's. So yeah, right. Let's monitor today. We're in a lot nicer position. So yeah, hopefully we can obviously make sure we come out this morning in some good profit. Remember, it's only 8:23 as well. It's only 8:23 here in the UK. So yeah, we've obviously got plenty of time. So have a great morning, everyone, and yeah, we're gonna smash it. We're gonna smash it. Have a good one, guys.